All right, welcome back to season 7 of our show, and today it is Brisket 101. We're taking it back 35 years and showing you everything I've learned to keep a brisket juicy, moist, and tender. Let's show you how to get it done. You know, it's been almost 35 years since I've done my first brisket, and along the way there's been a lot of hiccups that could have been easily done if I would have kept things extremely simple. Now the first thing you need to do is pick a good brisket. Check this brisket out. Watch how it bends. You see this? You can touch it from one end to the other. Very easy. There should be no resistance. That means you have a lot of fat on that brisket if you can't touch it from ear to ear. So I'm gonna flip this back over. Let's talk about the cooker. Now a lot of people cook these indirect on a smoker with a firebox. Now, when I grew up, there was no fireboxes on the cookers. We didn't have fireboxes on there. It wasn't until about 1980 that the fireboxes came into play. But we weren't using them because our method and style of cooking wasn't using a firebox. So for the people that were learning how to use a firebox, it just kept the meat away from the flame and you were sure not to burn that piece of meat up over the fire. But what I've learned is putting the meat over the fire is your best friend. See all this fat on here? We're gonna keep this on. So when you look at a brisket, if you're cooking it like on a Weber grill, which we're gonna do today to show you, we're not gonna cook this on your traditional smoker, but we will cook it on a very large kettle. This piece of fat right here, you're gonna feel this, feel around, and see how deep this runs. Now you really can't tell how deep this runs, so you're gonna turn the meat off to the side, and what I'm gonna do is take a paring knife. I'm gonna dig into this piece of fat right here. I'm gonna get out as much of this fat that I can. So I'm just gonna take my knife and go right in, not taking away any of the meat. And I'm just gonna see how far this runs. And it runs pretty deep. So I need to get in there really deep and get that out of there. And this is gonna just relax the meat and free it up. So a lot of people don't know about this little piece right here. They'll take it out, but they don't know why they're exactly taking it out. And this is just to relax the meat. So we're gonna get that out of here. And I'll leave just a little bit in there. See, there's a little bit more in here. And you should have a gouge to your meat when you do it right. So let's get this end out. And once you get this out, you're pretty much home. All right, so there you have it. Now let's talk about the seasoning. The seasoning is gonna depend on the flavor and what kind of bark you get. But if you're cooking over fire, you're always gonna get a bark on this piece of meat because that's just what cooking over a flame does. It's automatically going to give you a nice bark or crust on the outside of here. So what I'll do is start with some salt. Good amount of that. Now like I said, I didn't take any of that fat off because that fat's your best friend. You see how much salt I have on here? It's a lot of salt. So you just want to be very liberal with the salt. Get the salt in. Black pepper. You can be liberal with that. I mean, there's times that I don't put any black pepper on. I just go with the salt. Because the smoke is your friend. Smoke is seasoning, just like salt and pepper. Or garlic powder or onion powder. The amount of salt that you put on here, that smoke is going to penetrate the meat and give you that beautiful flavor. But the salt is the most important part. I mean, you'll get notes of garlic powder, onion powder. If you're cooking in the oven, you definitely want to season it, but if you're going over fire, choose the right coals and the right blend of wood. You can go oak. Don't use hickory. Hickory's going to be overpowering, but a good oak wood is a good place to start. All right, more pepper. Now, a lot of people are scared to hit this with a lot of high heat. I find on a brisket, it's going to get you out of that cook fast. Now, especially if you're not looking to do competition, I mean, you're looking to feed your family. You're not looking to spend 14, 15 hours outside and then let it rest overnight, do another day of letting this thing rest. You just want to cook it, get in, get out. All right, here's some garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. So make the spices yours. There's no salt in here. I'm gonna just shake it up and I'm gonna go over my brisket with that. Decent amount. Avocado oil. Now a lot of people ask me, why don't I rub the avocado oil in? first and then put my spices on. Well, if you do that, it's gonna repel. It's like waxing a car. You wouldn't wet it and then put the wax on top, right? Same thing with the meat. You wanna put the oil on afterwards. So this side, I'm not gonna put any seasoning on the fat. I'm just gonna put that salt on there and keep it in. But I only season that one side. And that's it. So my seasoning's on that side. I got salt and pepper on this side. And that's how you want to do that. That's how I do it. Most of this is gonna render off and most of your seasoning is gonna go right with it. So to season this side is kind of ridiculous. So you don't wanna do that. Just get this side seasoned in well. See that? You can see the color difference in there. And that's where all your flavor is. The other side will make a bit of difference. And that is it. So what you want to do is go overnight with this. Let all that salt set in, and that's going to change the meat a little bit. It's going to suck out a lot of the moisture, kind of give you a dry aged taste to this meat, and it's just going to be a much more pleasant meat than going right onto the cooker with it. You can even go up to 5 days with this in your refrigerator. It's not that big of a deal. That salt's going to hold it in, and it's just going to taste better. Especially if you're going in the oven with this, you might want to give it 4 days in the refrigerator. Let all this just marinate in. So overnight, and I'm going to meet you on the cooker with this tomorrow, show you the rest of this cook. Stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, we're rolling this kettle out at 300 degrees. Let's get it on. All right, we're gonna put this fat side down. See that fire? We're going directly over it. That's right, directly over the fire. Don't let it fool you. We'll meet you right back here. All right, so at this point, I shut the top of this cooker off, and I also shut the bottom of this cooker off. So if you guys are cooking on your Weber kettles, at this point, once you put the food on the grill, you're gonna wanna shut the top off, and you're gonna wanna shut the bottom off and let it cook directly over the fire. You don't want this grill to get past a certain heat. So right now, I started this grill at 300, it's still holding in, and that meat's gonna cool your fire down. So while you're cooking the outside of it, you're cooling down the grill at the same time, and you're getting the grill back at temperature. And on the smaller grills, you don't run from the fire. You wanna get that meat nice and darkened up. You wanna go directly over the fire. That's why you leave all that fat on. Let's open up. So at this point, you can see how even that brisket's cooking. I have nothing on this side. This side is just open. There's no coals on this side. This side is where all of the wood is and all the coals are. But look how even that's cooking. Now, if I leave the lid open, it's gonna catch back fire again, but you want a nice even cook. So you wanna leave it on this side for probably about a good 30 minutes before you put it to this side. I'm gonna close back down because I'm starting to fire up this roast again. I don't wanna do that. We'll meet you right back here when we put it to that side. Stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, we're a half hour in. Now my kettle's running around 275. Whew. That's a lot of smoke. Now we're gonna put this brisket to this side. Now first I want you to see this. Take a look at this side of the brisket. See that? It's looking right. Let's get it over. So I'm still cooking it on the fat side. Make no mistake. I'm gonna close my lid because I don't want this fire to get extra hot. And we'll meet you back here and explain what's going on. Don't go anywhere. All right, this grill's been running about 45 minutes and it's starting to cool down. Let's explain to you what's going on with the cooker. So the temperature of this cooker is starting to drop. Now, when I put this brisket on, I closed down everything. I didn't have any vents open at all. 45 minutes in, our temperature is starting to drop. Now, when we put the brisket on, we were cranking at about 300. And now I'm gonna slowly start to open up, just a little bit. I'm gonna start cracking the top. I'm gonna leave the bottom closed, and I'm gonna bring the temperature up very slowly. I'm running this at 300 degrees on a kettle. We should be out of this in 6 hours. And that's kettle cooking for you. We'll meet you right back here. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're about 2 hours into that brisket, and now it's time to mop. We're gonna make a mop. We're gonna explain to you when it's time to mop. Let's get it done. First of all, you didn't think I was gonna let you guys get out of this video without doing some side dishes. We got a beautiful baked bean coming up, and some gorgeous potato salad, and a surprise bread. Moving on to the mop. So here's our mop sauce. I got vinegar, 50-50 mixture of apple cider vinegar and water. I have beef tallow. Most of the time I use lard. Today I'm using beef tallow just to show people you can change this up. Little red pepper flake, make it yours. That's gonna add a little spice, and lemon. It's adding more acid. You'll never taste the lemon in here, but it helps break down the meat, keep the meat juicy. So I'm just gonna drop it in just like that. I'm gonna drop a couple of them in. We're gonna heat this up on the stove, and we're gonna keep it warm. And when we baste our brisket, we'll put that on. A lot of people think they should baste their brisket in the first hour. But if you baste the brisket in the first hour, it's still pushing the moisture out. So why would you add moisture to something that's pushing the moisture out? You want to baste when your brisket kind of looks not so moist. By it looking not so moist means it needs moisture, so you're going to put the base on. You're using the oil to help it stick to the meat, otherwise it's just going to run off. So the oil will help it stick to the meat, the flavors will stick to the meat, and this is going to break down the brisket for you, make it cook faster and just give it a better taste. But you want to baste when that brisket starts to look dry. Don't go by the first hour in, or 2 hours in, or even 3 hours in. There's sometimes I don't baste until about the 4th hour in, and the brisket starts looking pretty rough. And then I'm going to give it that juice. That's it. Onto the stove we go. All right, it's time to mop this, but first I want you to take a look at the exhaust on this cooker. First of all, I knew I was going to open this cooker up, so what I did was bring down the heat. I brought it down about 50 degrees lower than what we're cooking at. And the reason why I did that is because when I open this up, it's going to heat back up again, so I want to keep a consistent heat to this. Look at the smoke coming out of here. You see how it's kind of just blowing around nice and easy? You can also judge the heat of your cooker, so if you're cooking with no thermometer and no thermostat, you can judge the heat of your cooker from just the smoke coming out the top. If I open this wide up, look how fast that smoke is flying out of there. It's coming out of there pretty quick, so you definitely know a fire like this, you're going to be running somewhere around 350, 400 degrees. And when you close it back down, nice and tiny, you can still see the smoke coming at a faster rate out of those little holes. So judge your smoke. If you see smoke coming out of these holes, and it's coming out pretty fast, even though they're closed down, then you know that this thing is going to cook hot. So watch the rate of how fast that smoke is coming out of the stack, and you'll be better off. All right, let's get this thing open. There we go. That's 2 hours in, and we're looking right. And you notice that the end of the brisket didn't draw up. It didn't bend up. So a lot of people's briskets will bend up, but not this one. All right, so let's just get a good little mop on here. See what I said? It's kind of looking dry. So just get it mopped up, and that's it. I'm gonna mop around my fire too, just to kind of cool my fire down around it, because it's running hot around it. And you'll notice your hot spots around here. And there it is. All right, I'm gonna close back up and let this go some more. I'm gonna flip it over at hour 3. So the first 3 hours, I'm leaving it on one side. That's the fat side. And the next 3, I'm gonna flip it over. But look how hot that fire is running, see? We're gonna close back down and see you back here. Stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, along with this meal, we're making some beans. Hog gel, northern beans. Let's get it done. So for this dish, we're using the northern bean. That's the white bean here. So we pick through these, look for any rocks that you can find in here, because you don't want to have any rocks in your beans, and make sure they're nice and clean. So we got an onion, bell pepper, jalapeno, hog gel. Now this is hog gel mixed with bacon. 50-50 mix. You could use straight hog gel, you could use just straight bacon. I mix mine with hog gel. A lot of you guys might have trouble getting a hold of hog gel, but the flavor in the gel meat that's in the face is outstanding. We got some garlic here, and we're gonna start it off with a touch of avocado oil. On the stove we go. All right, so we're cooking down our gel, our bacon, and our onion. We got the garlic in here too. So just throw the bacon in, and the onion and the garlic all at the same time, and just cook it down. The onion's going to protect the garlic from burning. And the bacon's going to take its time to bring out the flavor and get crispy. And once the bacon starts to get crispy, we're going to throw in the bell peppers and then get our beans in. We'll meet you back here when we're doing that. Don't go anywhere. All right, so our bacon is nice and cooked down. Onions, peppers, everything is sweated down. We're going to get in a couple of peppers in here. The jalapenos. Make the amount yours. You don't have to put these jalapenos in. I like the flavor of them in here. Just warm that pot up a little bit. Here's our beans. We're going to go in with hot water. Just to cover the bean. That's 2 pounds of beans. That's a 7-quart pot. There it is. We're going to bring these up to a boil. We can always add more water to these, but we're going to start out with about that amount. We're going to meet you back here. Check on that brisket. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, time to baste this. All right, take a look at that brisket. Now, I didn't flip sides. I left it on the fat side. We're just going to put a little bit of the mop sauce over it. Just like that. Maybe a little bit more. And that's all we need. Now we're going to let this just develop a nice bark. You can see some of the bark coming around there now. And don't forget, this is a kettle. This is not an offset. So we're looking right already. And the other side, well, we'll see the other side when we cut into it. All right, we'll meet you back here. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, we got those beans cooking down. We got that brisket humming along. I'm in the mood for a little potato salad. Let's show you how to get it done. All right, so there's 2 parts to this dish. We're going to show you the second part right after these potatoes come out of the pressure cooker. 8 or 9 large potatoes. 20 minutes on the clock. We're going to lock these on. So this meal starts with some onions. So you're going to need some onions, as much or as little as you guys like. Now with this dish, for 8 or 9 large potatoes, you're going to need a fair amount of onions. Just judge it out. And just kind of think, what would I use if I was chopping these up and putting them in a potato salad dish by themselves? This is vinegar, rice wine vinegar. That was about a half a cup. Let's lock this on and pulse it. Now what we're looking for is to totally just break these down. We're going to liquefy them. All right, and there it is. Let's take a look, and I think we're looking right. Perfect. All right, so we're going to leave this here, and when the potatoes come out of the pressure cooker, we're going to show you how to add this to the potatoes and put all this together, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, so we're just about to pull this. Check this out. Whew, chow. That's a lot of smoke. Look at that, it's looking right. See how it built up the bark? I mean, this is not an offset, and look at the color that you got on that already. I'm gonna get a little bit more color on it, and then I'm gonna wrap it. Half hour more, that's it. I'm gonna shut down before I raise my temp. We'll meet you right back here. Don't go anywhere. All right, that brisket's almost ready to wrap, and before we wrap it, we're gonna finish off these potatoes. Let's show you how to get them done. All right, so our potatoes are out of the cooker. So they're still hot. What you want to do is salt them while they're hot. So we're going to get a good couple of pinches of salt on there. We're going to start to crush them. So just take a spoon. Now these were drained well. You don't see any water in the bottom of these, right? So we're just going to break them up, but we're not going to really break them up too much. Just get them somewhat broken up. We still want them nice and chunky, and you'll see why. So just like that, determine that's about how chunky you want them. I'm gonna move them around a bit and just look around and see which ones I want broken up. All right, so that's about where I want them. Here's that mixture we made with the onions and the vinegar. Right in with it, all of it. That's right. That's 2 cups. So we're just gonna mix this around. And as we mix this around, it's cooling down. We put that mixture in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. Got it nice and chilled. And I'm just gonna feel the heat on these potatoes and see if they're ready yet. So I'm just gonna take my hand. Yeah, they're still hot. We need these to cool some more. So what I'll do is just let them sit out for about 10 minutes. The reason why we're letting them sit out is because I don't want to add the rest of my vegetables in here. I don't want to add my bell peppers and I don't want to add my celery because it's going to kind of cook it in there. So I'm going to let this chill out for about 10 more minutes while we go pull that roast. And we'll see you back here to finish this off and put the eggs in there. So meet you out on the cooker. All right, let's get this brisket pulled. Look at that guy. That's looking pretty right. Now you notice how the ends didn't fold up. You know, a lot of briskets still fold up on the ends, not this guy. See that? That's how you know you got a good brisket. I got a little wiggle next to it. See that? I can just jiggle it. Now I'm gonna take this face down. Now it goes into here, face down. See that? This side up. And look at all that fat just rendered in there. So it rendered beautifully. All right, I'm gonna close up. I'm gonna meet you inside and get this inside the oven. That's right, we're going in the oven with this. We don't need any more smoke or seasoning. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, we have 6 hours into this cook. We baste it twice. Again, we baste it anytime we think this meat needs it. 6 hours in this cook, it's time to wrap it and get it inside the oven at 300 degrees. Let's get it done. First of all, check this out. I mean, we got a great wiggle on there. See it wiggling? Let's spin it around so you can see all the sides of it. So for you barbecue purists of brisket, this is pretty amazing on a kettle, right? So you could do this on a 22-inch kettle. You can do this on a 26. Any kettle, same technique, works perfectly. All right, so what we're gonna do now, a little white wine. Just right over top of the brisket. You could use chicken stock if you're not into wine at all. This is gonna get the steam up. So not much, just a drizzle. Parchment paper, right over top. I'm going with the waxy side of the parchment paper. Followed by, I'm just gonna bend this down, just so it stays. Followed by plastic wrap, that's right. I'm gonna go over top of this with plastic wrap. I'm gonna take another piece, once we got it started, and go right over top. So just like that, let's rip it. And now we got a nice piece of plastic over the top of this. Now we're gonna put some aluminum right over the top. The aluminum is basically gonna hold everything. So that's your tucker at the end. Don't worry if you don't get it right. As long as the plastic and the parchment paper is there, you don't have to worry. So I'm just gonna drag this a little over to this end. And there it is. So all the plastic is hanging on the outside, nothing's inside. And you're just gonna repeat with the foil. Just tuck it down real good. That's it. In the oven for 1 hour to 1.5 hours. And we're gonna take it out. We're gonna shut the oven down and let it rest. In the oven we go. In 1 hour, we're gonna probe it right through the aluminum and we'll check the temperature of it. We're looking for 204 degrees. We'll meet you back here. We'll finish off the potato salad while we're waiting. Don't go anywhere. All right, brisket's in the oven. Time to finish off this potato salad. All right, so right here we have some Duke's mayonnaise. Now these are eggs that were perfectly cooked. There's no green inside, and we just mashed them up just by hand, but we didn't pulverize them, so you still want to see the egg. We got salt, pepper. We've used enough salt, we're not gonna add any more. We got our celery and our bell pepper. So let's start off with a little bell pepper in here. I'm just gonna feel it out. Some celery. Make these ingredients yours. If you don't like celery, you don't have to use it, or bell pepper. Get our egg in. All of it. So just like that. Let's get that shook in. And then we're gonna take a spoon and just get a couple of globs in there to start with. Now I'm not gonna put that spoon back in. I got a little paddle on the side I can add. You can't put that back in the jar, so always have an extra spoon on the side. Or just spoon it out with something else. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start to mix. Gently mix it, not hard, because you don't want to really disturb those potatoes. So gentle mix is all you need. And you're not going to need too much mayo, as you'll see. And you'll see it turning on the white side. And all the vegetables that you put in, all the bell peppers and the celery, should come right to the top, and you should see all those nice colors just shine through. All right, so I'm gonna need a little bit more mayonnaise, about that much. I want some more color, so I'm going with more bell peppers. Now all this I took a good visual count on, so that's kind of what you want to do. Just use some common sense with that, and you'll be okay. So just stir it up, and don't over mash it. The last thing you want to do is just mash this up. You see all those colors starting to come through? You're done. Just like that, we're finished. All right, so let's get a bowl in. And then we're gonna start to spoon some of this into our bowl. Doesn't look like it, but this weighs a ton. So we're just gonna lighten it up a little bit before we go dumping it in. Still too heavy to lift. So I'm just gonna keep spooning. All right, here we go. Keep it on the top and let it just fold down in there. That's it. Let's give this a bit of a shake now. And now you got a gorgeous potato salad. And just finish off with just a little cracked pepper. Black cracked pepper. It's about a 16 mesh. It's pretty big. So it's gonna make it look pretty and add some flavor. If you put the pepper through it, and you got pepper throughout, you're not gonna really see it, and you won't get the opportunity to make it look pretty either. And there it is. All right, we're gonna put this in the fridge, let it cool down. We're gonna meet you back here, show you those beans, and we got an exciting bread for you to finish off this meal. So stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, beans are done. brisket's resting, potato salad's in the fridge chilling out. We got one last thing to show you. That's an awesome garlic and fennel bread. Let's show you how to get it done. So the first thing you're gonna need for this dish is some garlic and fennel. Now I chopped up the fennel premature, just to save some time, and we're gonna get this inside our chopper. If you guys don't know what fennel is, just pop on the internet and Google it and you can see what it looks like. And these are the flowers from our fennel. So we get our fennel in, we're going in with lots and lots of garlic. As much garlic or as little as you like. And we're gonna chop it up. So just like that, and you're all done. All right, so we're gonna bring in our cornmeal and flour. This is a 50-50 mix of white cornmeal and flour. 1 tablespoon of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. We're gonna go in with just a little bit of salt. Paprika, you're gonna need a whole bunch of this. Just like that. You mix it in. We're gonna give this a stir. Now this is called a drop bread because it gets fried and hot oil. Hot water gets put in here and we're gonna mix it up and we're gonna fry it. It's a delicious tasting bread. All right, so we just mix all of our seasonings up first, get them mixed in there. And now that it's nice and sifted in, we're gonna put that fennel and the garlic in, all of it. So just like that, and get everything out of here. And when this fries up, you're gonna smell it and you're certainly gonna taste it. If you guys never had garlic and fennel bread, you're in for a treat. All right, so there we go. And we're gonna just mix this in. Just like that. All right, and here is our hot water. So we're just gonna mix and add a little bit at the same time. Now the nice thing about this is your hands will never get dirty because your hands will never touch the batter. So we're just gonna get it mixed up and you're gonna feel it out until you get the right consistency to drop it. Look at the color that comes out. It's beautiful. And that's from the Hungarian paprika. So make sure if you're gonna use a paprika, you use a real good one. Because the paprika is gonna make or break you. It's definitely a deal breaker when it comes to quality. If you guys that don't know what paprika is, it's sweet chilies. There's no heat. But look at that color. And now we're gonna get it to the point where we could just drop it. So get it mixed up good. We're almost there. Do a little bit more mixing. Just like that. And now you should be able to pick some up. Take a spoon and just drop it into our batter, just like that. All right, we're gonna meet you on the stove, but before we meet you on that stove, I'm gonna show you this. This is what we're frying in. Beef tallow, a whole lot of it. So you could use lard, you could use beef tallow. This happens to be beef tallow, and that's what we're rolling with today. Meet you on the stove. All right, our tallow's heating up, but first things first, check out these beans. They almost look delicious. We'll get into those in just a bit, but they're done. All right, we got medium heat. And it's time to drop some drop bread. That's just how you want to get it done. Not too big and not too small. I'm gonna get these guys in pretty fast. Cool my oil down. we'll go for one in the middle. That's it. Don't touch them. About 2 minutes aside, 2 to 3 minutes aside, and they're done. I'll meet you right back here when we're pulling some to show you. Don't go anywhere. All right, let's get these guys turned over. So just take them and point them in the direction of the others. Just get them flipped over, just so you don't get a splash. So just like that, and right over. Now that one I want against the wall, but it's all right. As long as you don't get a splash. You can use the wall of the pan, or use the other. And let's just flip that over. But look at that color on these guys, right? It's almost like a hush puppy, but probably one of the best hush puppies you ever had. All right, we're gonna meet you back here and cut that roast up, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, time to get these guys out, and we're gonna get a fresh batch in. They should feel light and fluffy. They shouldn't feel heavy or dense. If they're dense, then you got your mixture wrong. You can always go more flour than cornmeal. But you can't go more cornmeal than flour because they will be dense. All right. We're gonna meet you guys back here on the chopping block after we put one last batch in, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, here we are on the chopping block of season 7. So the first thing we're gonna do is show you the inside of this brisket. Let's recap this. We cooked this for 6 hours, 290 degrees, in between 290 and 300. We cook fast, we cook hot. After those 6 hours, we took it out. We put it in this basket here. We put it inside our oven for 2 hours at 300 degrees. We took it out for an hour to rest. This is what we got. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna show you what the plastic did under here. So here's the aluminum, and then we got the parchment paper. And for you guys that think that plastic melts in the oven, you're mistaken, because it doesn't. So we're gonna pull off the plastic. And then here is our parchment paper, followed by our brisket. Take a look at that. Now I'm gonna put this off to the side, bring it in, and we're gonna get it on the bench. Now you saw I just splashed a little wine down in there. And keep in mind, this is a brisket that only rested for an hour and it's still piping hot. All right, so there we go. Get my gloves off. And the first thing we're gonna do is cut this in half. I'm gonna spin this around. Cut as far up as I can, separating the point from the flat. But first of all, look how jewelry that is. See that? And let's see what we're looking at. Look at that. Beautiful. Now we didn't get much of a smoke ring in here, but at this point, who cares? Because the smoke ring doesn't determine the flavor. But look how juicy that looks. Let's cut into this flat and see where we are. I'm just gonna take it and go down. See, we got a good bark on here, right? Look at that juice run down. That's crazy. And it's still piping hot. All right. Let's see what we're looking at. Look at that. Right? Nice piece. Let's put this over on our tray here. I'm going to move our tray over. That was thick sliced. Let's do it again with a thinner slice. A little bit further away from the flat. All right, here we go. Let's check out this piece. Look at that. Spinning right. Let's do the pull. Pull's perfect. This can all be accomplished on a kettle. I mean, that's a kettle cooked brisket. And we cooked so fast and so hot. Didn't even rest. We broke all the rules. And look at that. All right, let's get into this point and show you that. First, I'm just gonna cut a nice chunk off of here. Let's just cut that cap off of here. And look at that. I mean, that's looking right. And let's just get some nice ends off of here. See that? Just go right through. Look at that. Beautiful. And how do you go wrong with that? Let's get some of this on the plate. Now we got everything to this brisket. And we hit this with a lot of smoke. This was a brand new cooker we just cooked on. I've never cooked a brisket on this cooker before, so this is the first time cooking on this cooker. Look at that. That's looking right. That's the point. Like I said, if I took the time and let this just chill out and rest for a good 4 hours, we'd be even more there. But this goes to show you that you don't have to wait all day for a brisket. See that? Ooh, that's hot. And that is a cheap, very inexpensive. I'm gonna put this on the knife so you guys can see it. This is a cheap, very inexpensive Walmart brisket. Look at that. And as hot as this is, we're gonna pull it apart. Look at that. Comes right apart. Breaks right up. I'm gonna get a nice little slice off of here to taste. Let's give that a shot. That is extremely tender and juicy. Like I said, that is a Walmart brisket. That did all that. I mean, first time with this cooker. I've never done a brisket on this cooker before. We're out of this in 9 hours flat. You could not go wrong with this. This is the way you do this on a kettle. Any kettle, if you follow my directions, they all cook the same. Follow my directions and you'll get results like this. Let's try that point. Wow, I have not cooked a brisket on a kettle in about 20 years. The only reason why I did this one, I want to show you guys, number one, and number two, it's a brand new kettle, so I'm just breaking it in. I like to do long cooks when I'm breaking in a new grill, and this is the perfect opportunity to do that. This takes me back so many years ago when I started out cooking brisket on the kettles. This goes to show you, you can do a brisket on a kettle. You follow these steps, no matter what the kettle is, you'll be able to do the same exact thing. Same way I did it, you're out of it in 9 hours. Can't complain with that. All right, we're gonna meet you right back here, put the rest of this meal together and show you what that looks like. Stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, here we are on the chopping block of season 7 officially. Let's show you what we got. All right, you saw our brisket. And it's ready to plate up. You want to save your juice on the bottom of that too. So this way you can dip your meat back in it. Check out those beans. Hog jowl and beans. Can't complain with this one. And that potato salad. And last but not least, that gorgeous fried bread. All right, let's plate up and show you what this looks like on a plate. So I'm gonna get some brisket on here. We got a couple of different pieces here. And I'll get a couple of those nice end pieces. Now this is why you want to save the juice. Get a little out. And then right on top of the meat we go. So if it's sitting for a minute, just refresh it. Let's get some of these beans in the bowl. And these are spot on. Hog jowl and bacon. Let's get a little bit more in here. And I think we're good to go. I'm just going to clean that up. And let's jump into that potato salad. Just going to get a nice amount on that plate. There it is. And of course we'll leave some room for that gorgeous bread. A little piece to match the plate there. That's it. And that is our plate. Let's spin this around so you can see what I'm looking at. And we're going to try this potato salad first. That potato salad is cooked spot on. The onions and vinegar really make that potato salad shine. The potatoes are not cooked to mush. They got some integrity to them. They're still firm. The eggs give a dynamite flavor to it as well. It tastes like a very old-fashioned potato. And that pepper in there, you can taste just a little bites against the teeth. Outrageous. All right, let's try those beans. Hog jowl, bacon, and northern beans. How can you complain with that one? You know, the meat flavors that pot beautifully. It makes a very nice broth. It's not too heavy, it's not oily. It's the perfect combination in that bean. And the peppers add the right amount of spice. They're not too hot at all. This is why you have to taste your peppers, so this way you don't put something so spicy in there that it ruins the dish. And you also don't put a dud in there and you don't get any pepper at all. That is a wonderful combination in there. Phenomenal. All right, let's try that bread. Now check this out. See how light and fluffy the inside is? Let's give this a go. I tell you, that fennel, garlic, and the cornmeal are fantastic together. Fried, this is an outrageous bread. It goes perfectly with everything that's on the table. Everything that's on the plate is just soaked up with that bread. Beautiful meal. Last but not least, we're gonna get back into that brisket again. You know, this is the type of brisket you get when you're in the South and you drive down an old country road and you used to see years ago somebody cooking brisket right on the side of their house, a little smoke shack on the side with a little meats for sale sign. This is it. Same exact thing, brings back memories. We actually had a neighbor named Mr. JT, and you go around the side of his barn, this is what he had, served perfectly just like this. And he gave it to you free of charge. There's no charge. That was it back in the days. That was family. That was neighbors for you. It was a great time. Great memories. All right, we're gonna get organized and meet you right back here. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, and there it is. Brisket Cooking 101. We used a kettle to cook that 9.5 hours flat. Some of the fastest brisket in the South. And delicious too. We put that right on side of a plate of homemade potato salad. Lots of onions, vinegar. Park that right on side of some fresh beans. Those are hog jowl beans and bacon. Phenomenal combination. We hope you guys try that one. And we cannot forget about that beautiful bread. Garlic, fennel, fried up beef tallow. Fantastic combination. Like always, we thank you guys. Very much enjoyed you coming. So with no further ado, gotta get the last Pitmaster brisket taste there.